Welcome to the Unshakable Growth. I'm Esti, and let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Unshakable Growth. Today I'm excited to introduce a very special guest, Roslyn, a leadership coach that is helping individuals and teams reaching their full potential. Roslyn has a unique approach to leadership, blending personal growth with practical strategies to empower people to lead with confidence and authenticity. I'm thrilled to have her here to share on her insights on how we can cultivate stronger leadership skills in our personal and professional lives. Welcome to the show, Roslyn.
Hi, Estee.
Hi.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. I get to know Roslyn back in June when I was attending in a public speaking boot camp. So during the 3-day intensive program, Roslyn has shared about her journey from working in a corporate and how she transitioned to be a leadership coach. Roslyn, could you share a little bit more on your journey in this particular segment on how you transition from a corporate as a leader to becoming a leadership coach right now?
Yeah, well, great question. It probably is a little longer response than what you probably would be used to, but here we go. That's what I'm here to do. So, once again, thank you for inviting me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honored to be part of your podcast, Unshakable Growth,
Yeah.
and I hope what I say today will be helpful and supportive to others. So I guess the first thing, so I was also quite fortunate to have been part of um, the boot camp, the speakers boot camp, and I think at the boot camp I shared a bit about my background, which was from moving from corporate to becoming a coach, and I will talk a little bit more about that and elaborate more here
Mm-hmm.
today.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, I used to work for a corporate company, CBHS. So back then, I was just, I was actually still studying my Bachelor of Business and Applied Science, applied finance course.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I probably would say that was a bit of over 7 years ago, roughly,
Yeah.
if I can remember my timeline correctly. um, and I remember back then when I used to work more in the customer service team. So that was my initial role.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at that time, they were looking at starting a subsidiary company, CBHS Corporate. So basically, they were wanting to focus more on B2B, so business to business. So offering corporates an actual like health insurance program. Uh, so basically, the CEO of the subsidiary company that we were going to open came and approached me. We were quite close back then. Like we used to talk a bit, especially because he came from a South American background, and my background is South American, actually Colombian. So we got along very quickly, and I believe that was probably one of the reasons why he approached me, because he knew a lot more about me and what my background was, and also he knew that I was studying business. So he came and approached me and asked me to be or to help him with building that company. And that was a bit of a shock, because I thought, you know, why is the CEO coming and tapping me on the shoulder? Why not someone else? There was plenty of other options within the company. I was not the only person who probably had a business background. So I guess it was almost a little bit of a shock to begin with, but at the same time, he must have saw something in me that triggered him to approach me. And he must have thought, you know, this is the person to help me build this business. So, long story short, I helped him build the business. So
Mm-hmm.
back then I was almost like an all-rounder person. So I did a bit of everything. So I helped him with the paperwork. I helped with the marketing. I helped with a bit of finance. a bit of project management, so bits and pieces to help build this business. After a couple of months, I can't even remember whether it was months or a year, but then we thought we want to now target international students. So let's now open another subsidiary company. So the sister of this other company, and let's target international students. So let's offer students health insurance. As you may or may not know, if you're a student within Australia, you need to have health insurance as part of your visa requirements. So that was one of the gaps that we saw in the market, that why can't we offer these students health insurance, especially because the parent company offers health insurance. We brought in a specialized executive who used to, or who actually did that a couple of years ago, so had the experience on setting that up. So we brought her on board, and she became my immediate manager. So rather than the CEO being my manager, she then became that middleman in between. And since then, from that time, I worked very closely with her. And I remember like the experience that I had with her was quite unique. Like she was also my mentor. So apart from being my manager, she was my mentor. And I remember I guess, knowing, or the feeling that I had when she was mentoring me. She helped me become the manager or leader that I am today. With the experience that she had, she used to mentor a lot of people back then, and she just had this like genuine caring nature to her. And with the experience that I had with her was what was probably the one thing that triggered me to head down the leader the life coaching journey. Particularly because I remember within those years of corporate and the experience that I had, I sort of felt that I needed a bit more help or support. And with her coming on board, she gave me that. And I just remember the feeling of the way she helped me overcome a lot of challenges, build a lot of the knowledge that I have today. That exact feeling was what prompted me to go down that avenue, because I thought, I want to do this for others. I want to be able to support and help others grow, particularly young women who want to become an effective leader, right?
Yeah.
And I remember back then, I wish that I had that support during those years of growth, until she came along. So after that, I actually then left corporate.
Yep.
But with the experience that I had with her, it sort of created an impact on the rest of my team. And it was, I guess, bittersweet, a little bit bittersweet when I left, because a lot of them really looked up to me. And I really created that space and for them to grow into the workers that they are now as well. So I basically created a following, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to create followers along the way.
Yep.
And I continue to want to do that. But that wasn't just that wasn't just the one turning point. So that was part of it. After corporate, I then went to work in the health industry. I still remain in the health industry, more in the healthcare setting. So working in a clinic with physiotherapists and exercise physiologists, and seeing them care for patients. So seeing that firsthand experience of them caring for patients physically was the other aspect of what prompted me to go down that journey to become a life coach too, because I saw how rewarding that how rewarding that was for them to be able to create that impact on their clients or patients. I then wanted, or sort of created more of that urge of me wanting to help people become, the best version of themselves, to that level, right? Because there's obviously, like, you can help others reach their full potential physically, or you can also help them reach their full potential mentally, emotionally. There's different aspects to it. But overall, I wanted to be able to help them become a better version of themselves. And I remember, like, having that fear of, should I do it? Should I not?
Yeah.
And one of my friends, he did push me to just take that leap, or take that risk, not knowing what was going to be on the other side. So then I booked a call. Well, now we know how advanced technology is, so I think the internet must have been hearing me. Because as soon as I googled something, like everything started popping at me, like,
Yeah.
become a life coach, blah blah blah. So I thought, you know what? I looked at one company, or one institute,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I booked a discovery call with them, just to sort of understand, what their approach is, what their philosophy is. And that was the turning point. That's when I then made that decision. I'm going to become a life coach, because everything that I wanted
Yeah.
was very similar to very similar to their philosophy of how they help others do exactly that. So they I remember them telling me one quote, and this is one quote that I use all the time now, like, if it's not now, when? If it's not you, who? So that made me think, that's true. Like, what
Yeah.
what am I
What are
waiting
you
for?
waiting
Why
for?
am I not why am
Yeah.
I not doing it?
Yeah.
Why
That's
am
so.
I overthinking it? Why am I so in my head?
Mm.
And yeah, and that's when I began that journey. Um, that was a long explanation.
Oh, no, no, that's all right. Yeah, I mean, you at least you give a context to us on your background, and moving forward to how you deciding to go into that path of leadership coaching. I
Mm,
just want to go back a little bit in one of the point that you made. You were mentioning a lot about support just now. When
mm,
your mentor that joined the company and became the middleman, there's a lot of support that you were looking for, and she were able to provide you with those support. So I'm just
yes.
wondering, what kind of support were you looking at back then?
Back then it was more like comfort. Um, Comfort, and I guess reassurance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially because I did back then, and I think this is quite common within people nowadays as well. Like, I had a lot of self-doubt. I questioned myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason why I did question myself a lot was because of I guess, the experiences that I had whilst I was setting up this company. It was a big job to begin with. So in already I was already doubting my capabilities, of whether or not I can do this,
Yeah,
whether I have
doubting
the
yourself.
skills to do this, right?
Mm.
So because of that doubt, and also on top of that, like, it didn't really help that uh, the only support I had was the CEO. And I think, and I can understand that he was under a lot of pressure. I can only imagine setting up a company is not a walk in the park.
Yeah.
It's a big job, and although he brought me on board, I was very junior, so there was a lot of things that I didn't know how to do. Even as simple as, I don't know, managing Excel, or even formulating things within Excel.
Yeah.
So that was even just a skill that I then learned after. But um, I remember there was a moment when I was working in the setup of this company, um, where I had an encounter with the CEO, and I guess the way he made me feel was almost like I'm stupid, or I I don't know something so simple when I was
Mm-hmm.
walking him through a task that he asked me to do. And I guess I remember that feeling of I just felt really deflated,
Mm-hmm.
um, and and quite upset, because although he knew that I was very junior, there was a lot I didn't know, and I took this job because
He
I wanted that challenge,
yeah.
but I wanted to learn. But of course, I was thrown in the deep end because he didn't have the capacity to support me or to help me with certain tasks that I wasn't very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's very understandable that he didn't have the time to do that. So um, that's why, like, I sort of empathize with him, but at the same time, it didn't take away the fact how it made me feel, how
Yeah.
it made me feel that that is what sort of only caused me to doubt myself even more. So already I had that doubt of not having the capability to do this big task
Yeah.
or this big job of setting up a business. It then, those moments, because that was just one moment, there was other moments too, um, but that's only just fueled that even more. So having this new manager come on board and be that support for me, and actually take the time to teach me, help me build my knowledge, and really bring me that comfort and reassurance that no, actually, hang on a second. There is a reason why he tapped you on the shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
because he knew that you had the skill, or that you had that those capabilities within. It was just more of, you needed someone to sort of help you bring that out of you. And that's what this new manager helped do with me. So she brought that support,
Mm-hmm.
helped me, under, like, help me build that like rebuild that confidence
Yeah.
in myself, to then be able to then lead others.
Mm.
So that's the reason why I mentioned support, because it definitely was, she did bring a lot of comfort, and really helped me sort of come out of that negativity or whatever that was back then.
Yeah. And based on your this past experience, does it shape the way you coach today because of the support that you have received from your previous manager? Um, do you think it actually shaped the way you are coaching today?
I think so. I definitely can say that a lot of the experience I had with her
Mm-hmm.
um, definitely shows in a lot of what I do,
Yeah.
and has sort of helped me build those, like, different beliefs, or see things from a different perspective, or even, yeah, like, the way I think um, is very much in line with the experience that I had with her, and a lot of the things that I learned with her, I definitely feed that through to anyone I speak to. And of course, like, I've been through a lot of other things, like a lot of other, like, more growth through, like, the things that I've learned, the determination that I have to sort of
Mm.
build my knowledge. So really, sort of, what I've worked a lot on my personal development, and even and that has also helped as well with, I guess, impacting and influencing others. So it's like a combination of things.
Yeah, that's really great to hear that you managed to use the past experience and, after what you have experienced, and make it a better way for people to perceive this coaching, um, yeah, the way of coaching, I would say. Can
Mm,
you tell me,
yeah.
yeah, can you tell me a little bit more of your coaching offerings? Because I was looking through your website the other day, and I saw that you
Mhm.
have like three different coaching packages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, as I mentioned earlier, the individuals that I tend to target, or my audience,
Mm-hmm.
or whether you can, target audience, is generally young professional women who are looking to um, who basically are wanting to unlock their full potential and lead with authenticity um, and effectiveness. So I guess the three different packages I built was primarily around that. So depending on what they're after, whether they're after more of like a a holistic, transformative experience, then I would consider, the top package, where it would include a lot of specialized offerings,
Mm-hmm.
and then the middle package is more the in between. So I'm still sort of helping them with different strategies, ongoing support, to still be able to empower them and unleash the power within themselves,
Yeah.
to become an effective leader. But the difference is more of the around the offerings around that. So it will be more around the number of sessions that I offer them, or the period of time. So that one will be more like within a period of like 3 months, whereas the top tier will be like a longer journey, going back to that transformative experience.
Mm.
And then the other package is just more a shorter program of like within 6 weeks. Again, still targeting or still helping them find the power within, what their strengths are, so then they know then how to tap into that to be able to impact, influence and inspire their team, and still show that authenticity when leading the team.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, like overall, those three packages, a lot of the focus is more not only about discovering what strengths they do have, but also help them find clarity and purpose as a leader. So finding what really works for them and what type of leader they want to become. So that's sort of at a high level, like
Mm-hmm.
there's bits and pieces in between, but roughly it's almost like a tiered approach to the different packages depending on how like long you want your journey to be.
Mm. Yeah. For example, if for a person that is still working in a corporate and you know to be on a journey to be rising to become a leader, which
Mm-hmm.
package would you offer for that?
Yeah, so I'd I generally recommend start with the basic package, so the starter package.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I would generally want to understand what their position is before we sort of consider an extensive journey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because at the end of the day, like it comes down to where they're at the moment,
Yeah.
you know, under really understanding what their background is, and what their goals are at short term and long term. So it could be that they're already, they've done some personal development work already, so
Mm-hmm.
it might mean that they don't really need to have, a plenty of sessions or extensive sessions, right? So that's why that starter package is worthwhile, because it allows me to sort of understand holistically what their position is, and then be able to then kickstart their journey through the work that we initiate with, and then thereafter, I would then consider or recommend we extend the sessions based on what their short term and long term goals are. Um, but I always go straight to the starter pack, unless like, in future, and I haven't exactly explored this option as yet, but in future I want to sort of target companies rather than individuals. And at the moment, I'm focusing a lot more on the individuals to begin with, as I've only just really launched my business not too long ago. But eventually, those that higher packages would probably benefit companies more than individuals. It doesn't mean that I cannot use those packages just for, like, say, executives. But I guess it all comes down to what that initial conversation is, and how much work is needed. It's almost like when you think about you're going to the physio for the first time, you
Yeah.
don't know, what what's going on, right? Like,
Yeah.
you might only need like 2 or 3 sessions,
Mm.
but you won't know that until you have that initial conversation, and then you then understand, oh, okay, actually, this person may need, six or more sessions. So then that's where you would be like, okay, I'll offer you, this package because this will be more comprehensive for you.
Yeah.
So it just really is dependent on that initial conversation. So it's not like I can say I can recommend this to begin with. I try to have that initial conversation first before recommending anything.
That's good to know. Do you
Mm.
have any success story that you can share with us from any of your previous client that really highlights the transformation of the coaching that you've provided?
Yeah, so I can probably handpick. So one client that I had, she was pro bono, so it was free coaching. So as part of my course, so I hadn't finished my courses yet, but I was coaching her to help with building my hours. And I remember initially when I onboarded her, and I started coaching her, she was very hesitant to what was probably what's the word she was a bit more, yeah, I guess she didn't believe that she could change her lifestyle. So she relied a, she relied on certain things to sort of help her with her sleep.
Yeah.
And she, I guess, had very strong beliefs around that. So I guess she was hesitant in believing that she could change that, um, and have a different lifestyle to then be able to achieve what she wanted to achieve. And I remember, yes, at the beginning there was that hesitancy, but throughout my sessions with her, um, it was more the comfort, or the I guess the, what's the word? Um, yeah, probably the comfort, and maybe the um how safe I made the environment, and how
Safe space.
um yeah, the space I gave her to really talk things out,
Yeah.
and really, and the way that I challenged her as well, with challenged her limited beliefs, challenged her way of thinking, really got her to sort of explore different options, different solutions, um, got her buy-in to try different things, is what sort of helped her change or shift that mindset. Um, in a safe environment, because she had never expressed, or even spoken about this with anyone. So that's why she was already hesitant to sort of work through this. And because I was able to offer that safe space for her, and empathize with her situation, and really give her the time to sort of um, express herself, and really open up, was what helped or allowed her to then eventually, by the end of the sessions that we had, and we had about 7 sessions, that she was really able to turn her life around like 360. Like she then had a different morning, evening routine. She changed a lot of the bad habits that she had. She started to see things from a different perspective. No longer no longer relied on the things that she was relying on to help her get through her life, or get her through her sleep and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and because of that, she at the end, like, she was quite happy, and she felt, really really proud of herself. And I think that was the main thing that I like, that was rewarding for me to to see that, she was able to come out of that,
Mm-hmm.
and really, you know have a better lifestyle. And yeah, that was rewarding to see.
Yeah, that's really inspiring to see how you can actually help to change someone's life, to
Mm,
the direction that they wanted to go to.
yeah,
It's really great.
yeah, it's a
And
nice feeling.
yeah, and one last question from me. What do you think is the most important element of becoming a leader?
Mm. Look, there's definitely a lot, but if I were to choose, oh, I was about to say more than one. Look,
Well,
the number one for me, and this
uh-huh.
is very much in line with my values, is effective communication.
Mm,
There's nothing worse than, having, bad communication strategies, because I just don't believe that's going to get you anywhere. For you to be able to lead a team authentically and effectively,
mm,
there needs to be an aspect of communication, and really, and I mean effective communication, because it's also about understanding how to communicate with that person too. So, as we may or may not know, everyone works differently, understands things differently,
mm,
and that also comes down to their type of personality. So that's something to be quite conscious of, when communicating, is trying to really keep that in mind when conversing with someone, because that way, then, or like, you are conscious of how they will understand what you're saying. So that's why, for me, that's the number one thing, because
mm,
otherwise, like, from there on, things are not going to work effectively if you're not mastering that.
mm. Yeah. I agree with that as well because I'm also working on my communication skills in my role. So
Mm.
that's really good to hear from a leadership coach that the communication
Oh,
skills is the
it's so
number
important. It's so important.
one.
Like, even as simple as, like, if you're messaging someone, like
Mhm.
text message, or
Yeah.
email, even email, like, email's so important. Everyone uses email, right?
Mhm.
If you're not being conscious of how you're
Wordings.
articulating
Oh,
things,
yeah.
then it's very easy for the recipient to understand things differently, right? So you want to be conscious of that, and you want to not come across a certain way. So even just think, like, if you were to effectively do that, then you will reach your outcome, your ideal outcome. Otherwise, if you're not really thinking about that, then it is very likely that the message that you are trying to portray is going to be different to what you want. So you want to be very conscious of that.
Yeah. That's a really good tip for me personally.
Oh,
Right.
that's great to hear.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Roslyn, for joining us today and sharing your valuable insights on leadership. It's been inspiring to hear about your journey and the incredible work that you are doing to help others to become more confident and become more authentic leaders. So for our listeners out there who wants to learn more about Roslyn's coaching program or to connect with her directly, I'll be linking all the details in the show below, in the comments below. So Roslyn, it's been a really good pleasure to have you on our show, The Unshakable Growth. Thank you once again to have you in our podcast session.
Likewise, no, thank you, Estee. I'm so grateful for having been given the opportunity to be part of this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been nice to also see your journey too. So I've been watching on the sidelines, and that's why, like, I'm really appreciative of having given the experience to be part of this.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in the Unshakable Growth. Stay unshakable, and I'll catch you in the next episode.